African Leadership Academy was informed by a program that we did, the Sex Worker Academy for Africa, that ran for 10 years. We did an evaluation from the alumni, 555 alumni who participated in the Sex Worker Africa Academy. And the main issues that came up was sex workers felt that the African Sex Workers Alliance, ALESWA, we have to go a notch high, where we build a new leadership and emerging leaders among sex workers.
The first group of African sex workers leaders academy in Africa. And this initiative is of great importance as Africans, just because it gives a room for the sex workers to be recognized in the African region. We need this program to continue into providing more other sex workers who are not having information pertaining to the issues of sex work in the sub-Saharan region, Eastern region, and the Kenyan region.
During the COVID, we did a survey, and the survey showed that sex workers bared the big blunt for COVID, and we realized that leadership among sex workers was tried. And during the survey also we realized that sex workers were left out by government for social protection scheme, and also there was a rise of violence among sex workers. And by this we saw our movement building being tried, and so this also informed the building of the African Leadership Academy, so that we can continue building a strong movement and as a resilient movement. So currently we are having the first African Leadership Academy, which has brought Southern African region, that is Zimbabwe, South Africa, and Malawi. And we have 6 participants from each country, that is 18 participants. And from this, the countries will go back and do interviews for 50 sex workers per country. And for the African Leadership Academy, we'll be doing 3 African Leadership Academy, and we'll have 9 countries which will participate in the African Leadership Academy. And by this, we look forward to interviewing 500 sex workers after the Leadership Academy.
And I'm one of the faculty members. The importance of ALESWA is that it's capacity building on the existing and emerging sex workers across Africa. And this one is also, it comes at a very important time following the happenstances of COVID in the year 2020, where the sex workers and our diversities, we felt we were left out and felt so very much stigmatized and also discriminated.
I attended the very first SWA Academy that ALESWA organized, and when I came to that SWA Academy, I was just a peer educator. And from what we learned, it was more of building capacities of sex workers from different countries in Africa. When we went back home, we had a movement called Community Health Rights Advocacy Code for male sex workers, because predominantly we only had female sex workers, and our voices were not heard in that organization. So it really helped me a lot. So coming to ALESWA this year, because we are also the very first, which is, I think we are very fortunate. We always start things. I think this ALESWA is more of knowledge and leadership capacity building for sex workers. So ALESWA is one of ALESWA's strategic goals to build a strong, resilient, powerful and visible movement for sex worker-led organization in Africa.
What I've learned from this workshop that we are attending, I've learned on sexual reproductive health and our rights as sex workers, so that we may know when they are abused. And I've also learned about how to do a research.
I am here to attend ALESWA the first academy for young African leaders. I am very pleased to be here because I am going to learn more, that when I go back to my country, I will be able to pass over the knowledge I have learned here. ALESWA is teaching us on conventions which were made by people in power in our countries or our leaders, which are binding us to continue the work we are doing. We are also going to do research in our countries, which is going to help in collecting data for us to go forward with the fight we have for fighting for the decriminalization of sex work in Southern Africa.
So with the proper documentation and building on the evidences, we the sex worker, we can champion best for the decrim across Africa.
So since we are going to collect data in our country about human rights framework, social exclusion, and sexual, reproductive and health rights, so we use this data that we found to advocate for the gaps that sex workers are facing in the country. So we'll be able to write to our donors, some from the SADC, because it will be a powerful advocacy tool, because we are going to collect lived experiences from the sex workers themselves in my country.
Sex workers issues are feminist issues, and we are calling for feminists and women's movement to work together with sex workers, because 90% of sex workers are women. So our issues are their issues. And we also call for the United Nations and all the human rights organizations to support sex workers, because we also have data that speak about our issues. So how do they come in and support us and us implementing the data and the issues that we are having across board?
Being in Kenya for ALESWA Academy. Wow!
We do this just because some of the countries have been signing the International Labour Organization laws that they are not doing it perfectly, just because they are looking at the social protection that are looking towards the health services, the old people, and they are leaving us as sex workers behind. And we are saying that the WHO is saying that don't leave no one behind. So this academy is of great importance, just because it encompasses all the sex workers in their diversities, such that we are equipped in research taking, in human rights, in data collection, and also we need this program to go further, cascaded into Southern African region and Africa, such that the countries will realize that sex work is real work.
There is need, and as a recommendation, there is need for resource mobilization in terms of ensuring that participants' numbers grow, and in ensuring that there are resources for whichever national movement, whichever region is participating, so that they take back the academy back home and it becomes sustainable. Above all, we also want to ensure as the board that this academy is driven by community members, is for sex workers and by sex workers.
As the African Sex Workers Alliance, we are asking partners, donors to come so that we can continue building the capacity and knowledge hub among sex workers. In addition, we also want partners to assist us to be able to lobby at the global and the regional human rights framework, so that we can be able to amplify the voices of sex workers at the regional and the global frameworks.